We are back. Good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I am doing called Thor's Entertainment. I'm Thor. This is where I am playing through games that I enjoy, specifically with the intent to maybe retire them or at the very least have the footage to look back on later when I get bored. I am continuing the City of Fear storyline in my Arkham Knight playthrough. This is part 8, and there is a lot to go over, so here is my attempt at a speedy recap of everything that has happened. Let's go. Scarecrow threatened Gotham City with fear toxin. This caused mass evacuation of the entire city. To keep Gotham under control, he has partnered up with a new Arkham Knight character and hired an army's worth of mercenaries. Together, they have blown up Ace Chemicals, killed Barbara Gordon, and used a new cloudburst weapon to spread fear toxin in a non dissipating orange nightmare fog that has covered the entirety of Gotham City, or at least the entirety of the playable Gotham City. The cloudburst was made by a pharmaceutical rich guy named Simon Stagg. Simon had plans of double crossing Scarecrow and then using the cloudburst and the fear toxin for his own purposes. But that plan got sniffed out and was ruined by the Arkham Knight Scarecrow duo. They then took the cloudburst and left the militia so that they could forcibly expire our friend Simon Stagg. Not to worry though, we did end up saving Simon. And in his most desperate moment, he gave us a power cell to get the Batmobile running, despite the cloudburst causing an EMP blast that otherwise left it, well, not mobile. After that, we just left Simon in his blimp since he was no longer useful. With the cloudburst now in the antagonist's possessions, we find ourselves in a unique situation. We need to destroy it to keep it from possibly being used again, and we also need to find a way to dissipate the gas. Fortunately, we ended up making a new ally, Poison Ivy, and she has been preparing for just this moment by growing a bunch of ancient trees to dissipate the gas. Now, the trees that she grew are not quite enough, but she has told us about one more ancient tree, and with that one, it could be enough. That left us with our two objectives. Objective number 1, go green and grow a tree. Objective number 2, find the cloudburst and destroy it. We were limited on time, and with everyone hallucinating and attacking each other, we needed to speedily get things done. First things first, we found the tree and we grew it. This got the attention of the Arkham Knight, though, who then challenged us to a Mad Max vehicular deathmatch. This was made even more convenient by the fact that the Arkham Knight was driving around with the Cloudburst strapped to his tank. So, this gave us the potential for a 2-for-1 victory. Naturally, we win, and then we blow up the tank and the Cloudburst in the process. Now, our antagonist, the Arkham Knight, got away, but this is still a big win. Wanting to spread the news of our victory, we went back to check on Poison Ivy. But she was in bad shape. She used all of her ability and used the trees to clear the toxin all across the city. And with this big effort to get rid of all the toxin, well, it was just a little bit too much. And in the end, Poison Ivy passed away. In the final moments of Part 7, Alfred reached out to us about a SWAT message that was recovered by the GCPD. It was unclear what the SWAT message was for, so we're going to go check it out and see if we can decipher it. And that's where Part 8's going to pick up. We're going to go check out that message and see what it says, and then we're going to resume the hunt for Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight.
Here he is.
Yeah, nice work.
Thanks, Batman. I didn't think we were gonna make it back there.
Now, throughout this playthrough, we have seen Officer Owens improve in very small doses after being hit by fear gas at the very beginning of the game. This has been his cell throughout the entirety of the game, and in his absence now, it would seem to imply that he has finally gotten better and is safe enough to let out. It's just nice to see that he finally came down after all the craziness of the night.
Gotham ain't going down yet, Bet.
Tell me about this broadcast.
Wish I could, sir, but it's on a SWAT channel, encrypted. Those boys really don't like anyone listening in.
I'm in.
Are you reading me? It's Jim. I need you to send through some blueprints. I found Crane. And that bastard's going to die for what he did to my little girl.
Was that the commissioner? What's he doing?
Getting himself killed. But I've got the ID number of the radio he's using, and that means I can track him. I've decoded a radio transmission. It's Gordon.
Oh, he's alive.
I need you to isolate the radio's frequency and pinpoint its location.
Of course, sir. The transmission appears to have originated from an abandoned shopping mall. The building has been without power for some time, sir. You may well encounter some obstacles.
I've already retrieved the remote electrical charge prototype from the GCPD evidence room. That should help.
Very well, sir.
And wouldn't you know it, we are going to find Commissioner Jim Gordon. It's been a long time since he stormed out of the clock tower. I almost forgot that he was even in this game. I guess we're just really lucky that the fear toxin didn't severely impact him, or lead to some other crazed person, you know, taking him out. But who am I kidding? This new, supposedly best ever fear gas, well, it only really works when the plot needs it to. That being said, I guess it's not too surprising that the old man Gordon is still hanging in there and doing his best impression of Liam Neeson. You know, Taken style. Then again, maybe Gordon is more of a Princess Bride fan. My name is Jim Gordon. You killed my daughter. Prepare to die. Jokes aside, Jim is kind of putting Batman to shame here. Really think about this. We have been trying to track down Scarecrow and his company the entire time. And while doing so, we have just been getting people killed and getting ourselves messed up by enemies the entire game. Meanwhile, with no Alfred or Lucius to support him or, you know, give him any plot-convenient back gear, Jim Gordon has managed to track down Scarecrow's hideout. I think Jim may deserve his own Batsuit. Like, suit this man up. New Batman right there. Oh, wait a minute. DC already did that. And those comics, well, they weren't the greatest. Never mind, I take it back. And after that last comment, I should probably explain what it is that I am talking about. Once upon a time, DC decided that it was their version of a leap year and they killed Batman. And while we were waiting for Batman to inevitably get resurrected, or, you know, something along those lines, you know, comic book crap, they decided to make a new person Batman. And rather than it being Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, or, you know, someone that would actually kind of make sense, they decided to run with Jim Gordon. So what did they do? They decided to give him a mechanical suit with bunny ears, and they decided to de-age him, since, you know, push-ups and sit-ups can suddenly make you 20 years younger, and then he quit smoking, and hey, he was good to go. This went on for a while. I can't remember how long. Eventually we got Batman back, but it doesn't really matter.
Gordon's signal is coming from behind that shutter. I need to find a way to reach him.
These comics clearly weren't for me. They had a couple of things I liked, but overall it was an experiment that I'm glad was short-lived. Really? I just assumed that someone behind the scenes really wanted to make Jim Gordon Iron Man.
I can use the remote electrical charge to power up or disable generators.
Get in the elevator.
You know, I need a lot more guys than this.
Get in there or you'll be needing a wheelchair too. Batman's on his way. Stay alert. Why would we need more guys? He's just one man. I'm guessing you never met him. The commissioner's right. We're short on numbers. Where's everyone?
Open the shutter! Now!
The boss wants the door open. Huh? I thought the bat took him out when he destroyed the tank. Guess not. Let's get these up.
Door's open. Get ready. Not that I want better. Open fire!
Alright, time to get into the mall. Out of the entire game, I would say this is the part that I have committed to my memory the least. It's going to be a combo of Batmobile and on-foot problem solving to get to the end of the game. I think each time I get this far in Batman Arkham Knight, I know I'm towards the end, and I just want to rush through it. It is probably one of my least favorite parts of the game, not because there's anything actually wrong with it, but because I'm just trying to move to the next part that's more interesting.
Batman has arrived ahead of schedule. Lock down the elevators and find him.
And you don't have to wait long at all for that interesting part that I'm talking about. It's literally right after this maze, and pretty much how we're going to wrap up this episode. That's the interesting part. So like the next 25 minutes, it just feels like filler. But don't let that deter you. Keep watching. I swear it's worth it. Until then, let's get into the mall maze.
Do you still believe that you are Gotham's savior? Soon the world will see you for what you truly are. A fallacy, a figment of hope in a world of suffering and pain.
If it's any consolation, I'm sure Crane's put old Jimbo out of his misery by now. It's not like he's got anything left to be afraid of. Not since they sent his little girl on the stair lift to heaven.
There is something I am curious about, and it's the electrical charge device. I'm curious if bringing it from Arkham City, which is when it was first introduced, and bringing it back for Arkham Knight was a last minute decision or if it was something they had planned all along. You can find this gadget in the evidence room of GCPD, and you can do it really early on. I think I picked it up between recordings for Riddler side missions, but yeah, I didn't record that, so my bad for not showing that. Anyway, the reason I wonder if it was a last minute decision is because of how little it's actually needed for the main story until the very end. I suppose that's true for a lot of gadgets, like when's the last time we actually were required to use a Batarang? Still, we need the electrical charges here. We also need them for the Riddler challenges, and we also need them for a very brief part of the Lambda Slaughter side mission, which is the shortest or the second shortest side mission in the entire game, and also felt rushed for its own reasons, but that's a whole other conversation that I'm not going to get into right now, maybe a little bit later. I think those are the only three situations where the electrical charge is used, and otherwise it's completely optional. Oh no! No! Okay. Well, even though we do not get a death cutscene with a villain mocking us or an ally mourning us, I feel like I have to count that as a death. We all know that Batman just got diced into tiny pieces by comedically large fans. So, that's now death number 2. Sad times. Sad times. Anyway, what was I saying? Right. Electrical charges are needed here, Riddler challenges, Lambda Slaughter. All those things I listed are either super late game or post game, so it just feels like a last minute addition, and possibly it was placed back in the game to pad it out. If we were going to take things from the evidence room for additional use, I also wish we could have maybe grabbed the Executioner's gloves. I mean, those things were freaking awesome in Arkham Origins, and I'd love to be punching people with those things again. Speaking of Riddler challenges, you're going to see a bunch of random wall-walking drones all throughout this part of the game. And if you see them, I think the only thing that you can use to damage them is the electrical charge. So if you see any of them, just go ahead and shoot them with an electrical charge. They'll spaz out for a moment and then they'll blow up. It is a Riddler challenge to find and destroy every single one of them in this whole little mall area. And you can do this later on, but since you already have to go through this part as a requirement, it might just be easier and time saving for you to go ahead and knock a few out if you see any along the way. And if you happen to notice, there was a random fade to black edit back there. I had to pause the game and step away for a moment, and I don't think I could think of a better way to subtly edit that out, so we got a fade to black. No worries though, you did not miss anything important, other than, the pause screen and me running to the refrigerator. But enough about my quick snack and a beer. We are now heading further into the shopping mall maze. This is about as far as I feel confident I remember, so you're probably about to see me struggle quite a bit. No worries though, I'm sure we'll eventually navigate to the right place. I suppose I could have looked this up beforehand, or did it once and then recorded it on my second attempt. But who wants to see everything going according to plan? Good gameplay? That's overrated. Speaking of research before recording, I am going to pull back the curtain just a little bit for anyone who is watching, and also to remind my future self of what it was like when I was making these videos. Most of what was recorded and what was used for this series was done by me going off of my memory alone, and then gathering from my previous playthroughs and without any other hints and reminders what I should do next. The reasoning behind that was that I wanted to be familiar enough for the videos to not be terrible, but not so familiar that I did not make any mistakes. I joked, but I don't find perfect playthroughs all that interesting to watch. At least not if there's commentary like I'm doing. If I wanted to see a perfect playthrough, I would find a recording without commentary and watch the game as if it were more of a cinematic experience. Since there is talking involved, I don't want to be perfect. I wanted to screw up. I wanted to laugh at my mistakes, and just wanted to be satisfied with the victories as I improvised my way through them. I guess one exception for a scenario where I'd really want to see a playthrough with commentary that was perfect would be like a speed run. In that scenario, I'd be really intrigued to see what the speedrunner was doing and their explanation for why they were doing it and how exactly it was cutting down time or avoiding something that otherwise was mandatory or something like that. Those can be really interesting too, but it's not that often that I go out of my way to watch those. I will say though that some of the glitches they come up with in those playthroughs are absolutely astonishing. You'd be amazed how much of the game you can skip depending on what glitches were left in and just weren't discovered whenever they were testing it out before release.
Study it. Imagine yourself pulling the trigger and blowing a hole in it. Now, throw that idea away. It's what he wants you to do. It's where the armor...
Their leader is wearing an explosive vest. I need to neutralize him first.
And we are not, I repeat, not in the helping him business. Our training personally designed by Knight, gives us...
Whoa! These guys are packing more firepower than Penguin. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? That weapons crate is crying out to be tampered with. So what do you think, ladies? My money's on the Batman. Though you could say I have a vested interest.
Speaking of mistakes and satisfying victories, I somehow managed to accomplish both in the exact same fight here. So, let's start with the mistakes. The super obvious one, as the Joker even hints for us just a moment ago. I could have disabled the weapons crates, and I also could have disabled the weapons that people are holding before starting the fight. I don't do that though. Looking back, I think I was worried about how much time I was consuming and how long this recording would be. Like I said, this is probably my least memorized area, so I had no clue how long it was going to take for me to finish. And I'm guessing that I wanted to skip disabling anything and just jump right into fighting because it might save me a few seconds. Ultimately, this is completely unnecessary and just added hazards to this fight. And now, well, for the satisfying victory part. Look at that glorious combo count. It is beautiful. In the end, it is almost a perfect free flow. It will for sure be a fight that ends with me not getting hit, and that by itself is amazing. So yeah, we get victories, we get mistakes, and I feel like the fight was all the better for it. But enough basking in the moment and just enjoying my short-term success. Let's go ahead and get this fight over with. We have a maze to finish and much more interesting things to see.
Those boys have really done their homework. Where do you think they're getting their intel? You think Barbara told them? Oh, those sidekicks of yours. A teeny tiny bit of torture, and they're all, please make it stop. I'll tell all Batman's secrets.
Gordon's just beyond that wall. I'm going to need the Batmobile to destroy it and reach him. If I can lower the car on top of that drilling machine, I might be able to move it down to this level.
The Commissioner placed his trust in you to keep his city safe, his family safe. Can you still atone for your failure? Are you still the master of your own destiny? The answer is awaiting, Batman, as am I.
Not to get cocky here, but so far the mall hideout has gone pretty smoothly. I kind of expected worse by now. Like you heard me earlier, I said that it was going to get more difficult, that there was going to be more mistakes, more screw-ups. But I guess we were fine. Seems like we only really just got started. The only thing that's really slowed us down so far was one accidental fall into a murder fan, but hey, we're still in one piece. I do think the next part's going to be where I start to struggle for real this time, because I am blanking on what to do next after the sentry gun. And after we go up this elevator shaft. And after we stop the second fan. Okay, now I'm blanking. For real this time.
That's the second fan disabled. Now to get the Batmobile down onto that drill.
Anyway, wish me luck on remembering or figuring it out on the fly. I'm probably gonna need it. Okay, this is the last part that I am 100% sure about. I know I need to get the Batmobile lowered down onto the platform now that all of the fans have stopped spinning. And once I'm there, I can start to get the platform or the drill platform to start lowering. That is the last of the easy stuff that I can recall.
That's as far as the winch can take me.
I don't really know what I'm supposed to do once I get the platform lowered. I'm also still trying to remember how to get the sentry gun to not, start shooting me the moment I hit the ground. I know I can't just stay in this room, and I have to go down the elevator at some point, but then there's the obvious obstacle. I know it won't work, but I keep thinking about trying to blind the sentry gun with the hacking tool. The reason I don't think that'll work is I just don't think I have enough time to land at the bottom of the elevator shaft, and then, once I recover from the fall, try to blind it before it starts shooting me. I also can't blind it while I'm being shot, so if I miss that window, then I'm kind of just stuck, or I have to grapple gun out of there. I do have one idea, though. Earlier, when we first got into the mall, and, just before I got blendered to death by all the fans, I recall I got stuck on the ledge above the door or the opening that we shot open, with the militia just standing in the way. And I was kind of just stuck there until I dropped down and landed in the fan. If I could somehow do that again, I might be able to use that here. I'm thinking that I might be able to land on top of the elevator door ledge and be just out of sight of the sentry gun. And if that works, I might have a line of sight on the gun where I can then use the hacking tool to blind it. Now, as awesome as all that sounds, it also requires a lot of luck and seems super unlikely to pull off. So in my heart, I know that's not the intended way to do this, so I probably need to start looking at other options. I just don't know what those other options are. There's probably something super obvious and just a way easier way to do this, and I'm completely missing it. Oh well, here goes nothing. Well, that did not work at all.
Oh, nice try. Looks like we're trapped up here.
Alright, I don't think trying to gimmick my way around the gun will work. So what do I do here? If I can't leave the room yet, let's go with a perspective change. Let's just remote to the Batmobile and look around. Are there any new paths? Or is there anything new that I can destroy to possibly find my way out of the room? Alright, this is a new room I have not seen before. What is happening in here? Cool, there's a switch. Right over here. That will be super useful when I am not trapped in that room anymore. Okay, there's nothing in here I can use yet. So let's back out of here.
That's as far down as the drill will go.
Can I just shoot the cage and get out that way? That's going to be a no. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was super obvious. And highlighted in red the entire time. I could just shoot the sentry gun with the Batmobile, and then I'm free to leave. Well, that took a lot longer to figure out than it should have. But the struggle is over. We are getting out of here. In hindsight, though, if I had disabled the fan faster after I went up the elevator shaft, I might have been able to go back down the elevator before the sentry gun ever activated again. And if that was the case, I wouldn't have had to have worried about getting stuck to begin with. And if I didn't do that in time, I'm wondering if I also could have just reset the game and then spawned out of the room, because I don't really know when the checkpoint or whatever is for this part of the game. So I'm not 100% sure about that respawn, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Those ideas could have come in handy and saved me some time, but we're out. That's all that matters. Let's just get on to the next part of the game.
It appears that you are close to the Commissioner's location.
Close, but this tunnel is leading me in the wrong direction. Dig up any schematics you can find.
I'll do what I can, sir. Try not to get lost in the meantime.
I did ask if it came in black, but then I thought, you just get all jealous. You didn't think I was gone, did you? No, you knew better. You get knocked down, you pick yourself up again, huh? See, I learned that from an old friend.
Alright, time to outmaneuver the Arkham Knight in these tunnels. Oh, I don't want to overcorrect, but I might hit the shutter. Well, crap, that's death number 3.
Look at me while you die, Batman. Look at me.
Oh well, let's try this again. Crap, wrong way, turn around. Okay, only slightly defying gravity this time. No reason to be hanging from the ceiling. Alright, much smoother this time.
Master Bruce, there's no way out. I believe the exit from those tunnels is being remotely controlled by the Arkham Knight.
Then I have to fight him.
Sir, the Batmobile's armor and weaponry are no match for that vehicle.
But I am. I'll find a way.
You can't stop me. You're gonna die down here. Forgotten in the dirt. Come out here.
Alright, here's the game plan. We look for and hang out by the tunnels at the edge of this little square that we can drive around in. At the end of those tunnels are explosives. So, we wait for the Arkham Knight. We shoot his vehicle to get his attention, and then we drive to the end of each tunnel so the explosives damage his new ride. And we just keep doing that until he runs out of health.
You'll regret that. There.
So you heard the plan, and here we go. We just do this until we hit every set of explosives down here, and then we destroy his vehicle. I guess I am a little surprised he decided to go with this plan specifically to stop us. I mean, sure, this is a new type of vehicle, and we are cornered underground, but we already destroyed his tank. So knowing that the tank battle did not go well, and that we have been destroying vehicles all night, going with another vehicle fight just seems like the Arkham Knight not learning anything. So yeah, I guess he's just not adapting to the situation.
Stop this, Knight. Everything is in hand. We're done, Crane. I owe him. We had a plan. He is going to suffer. He is going to die.
All of my jokes aside, I don't necessarily think this is a bad idea, and I agree with the Arkham Knight on this one. Why drag out this botched plan anymore? It has not worked out. You cannot pretend that everything went according to plan and you're not just trying to salvage the situation. So knowing that everything has gone to crap, just kill Batman already. Finish this, celebrate with French toast, and call it a night. Now just think, if the Arkham Knight had displayed this much common sense throughout the entire game, accounting for all the earlier parts, like when he actually shot Batman and had him pinned, all those little moments, if he had just finished him off, he could have avoided all of this. He would not be having an evil villain headache right now. He also could have avoided all of his men getting locked up in GCPD. And then the militia could have had the time to just go trick-or-treating and celebrating however they wanted to.
Scarecrow's right. The world should see you for the worthless thing you are. But I already know. And I'm not waiting anymore.
Sometimes you just have to admit that things didn't work out and just get to the point and stop dragging things out. Scarecrow is cool, but he sucks in the decisive action department. And again, the Arkham Knight is right, and that's why this waiting and not killing Batman until way later crap is especially dumb. Just killing and unmasking Batman would have been enough to prove that he was a washed-up hero who was in over his head and doomed to fail at the hands of more ruthless villains. And everyone else is no better if they try doing the same things he did. Like, you could still get the same message across. There was never a justifiable reason to keep Batman alive.
Sir, I've remotely disabled the door lock. Might I suggest you leave?
Not trying to keep him alive also means you still have the Cloudburst. You get to actually successfully do the fear gas plan, and then go on to do whatever it is that Dr. Crane dreams of doing in retirement. Just stop procrastinating. Jeez, man. Just damn.
No way out? I did it. Cornered you. Done what no one else could. All these years, all your enemies. But none of them understands you like I do. You think Crane found Oracle on his own? I'm the one who told him about Barbara. Me! I told you I knew everything about you, didn't I? Don't worry, Bruce. I kept some secrets to myself.
Yeah, you shouldn't have come back.
Thanks for the advice.
You trying to be funny? Hey, everybody, I think he's trying to be funny. Ugh.
So,
I told you. Too late to run now. You boys scared? me out of here, Batman. We need to get Scarecrow.
Turn around.
Who are you?
You really have no idea, do you,
Bruce. Jason. But you're dead.
Let's not fall out here, Bats. I might have told you a teeny tiny little lie. But come on, look at the boy. You did good. We did good. You should be proud.
What's the matter? Lost for words? I expected more. I'm hurt.
Joker sent me the film. I saw him kill you.
Don't you dare lie to me! How long did you wait before replacing me, huh? A month? A week? I trusted you! And you just left me to die!
That's not what happened.
You always told me, Bruce. Focus on what I want to achieve, and it'll happen. You wanna know what I want now? Huh? I want you dead. You
can't hide from me! I will hunt you down!
Jason's taken a sniping position. I need to get close, take him by surprise.
And that is the big reveal. The Arkham Knight is Jason Todd. I have a lot of thoughts about this choice from a storytelling standpoint, but I will save those thoughts for later. For now, let's not ruin the moment.
Jason, I can help you.
There's no helping me! You're not the only one with sidekicks! Go get him, Batman!
Bat took the bait. Fan out. Keep calm. He doesn't stand a chance.
So, when the Batman Arkham Knight video game was first announced, I recall reading a Game Informer article about it. I should mention it was not actually my issue of Game Informer. It was actually a friend of mine's, and I was reading it at his apartment. The article really honed in on this new Arkham Knight character and how the creator sought permission to introduce this entirely new character that had never before been seen in any of the comics. Instantly, I mentioned this to my friend who owned the issue, and I verbally wondered if this was going to be Jason Todd. The reason I was wondering this is because in the comics, Jason Todd becomes a character called Red Hood, and this Red Hood character has a lot of similarities to the way the creators were describing this Arkham Knight character in the Game Informer article. So it made a lot of sense for this to essentially be the same character just by a new name. I remember my friend having a snarky comment like, "They just said it was going to be an entirely new character. What are you talking about?" I didn't really challenge him on the idea too much since it was just a hypothetical. But in my mind, I just thought, it's comics. They kill characters and bring them back as someone else all the time. And they call it brand new when it's not really new. Rarely is anything actually new when it comes to comics. Then, sure enough, the game came out, and in a super unshocking twist, the Arkham Knight is Jason Todd. And Arkham Knight is really just a reimagining of the Under the Red Hood storyline. So yeah, earlier I called this an Under the Red Hood reimagining. And that's not an insult. Under the Red Hood is a fantastic storyline. You could almost call it too good. And the reason I say that is because most people who are into Batman know it already, and that's why this twist was predictable as hell. But all because something is predictable does not necessarily mean that it is bad. In this case, I was looking forward to the reveal. I wanted to know how it would be executed, even though I had zero doubt I already knew who the Arkham Knight was. So yeah, I don't have a problem at all with the Arkham Knight being Jason Todd wanting revenge. I do have some gripes about how it was executed, though. It is mostly just me having an issue with how much he allows Scarecrow to be in charge of the situation. I could see the Arkham Knight manipulating villains just to get resources and to get Batman into position to be killed. After all, he does do the exact same thing in Under the Red Hood. And there, it's just a means to an end in that story. He is never truly partners with any villains. That's because he was murdered by one. Why would he trust them? So he's not really their ally, and oftentimes he is quick to either kill them or to let them die. So it was really weird seeing him play second fiddle to Scarecrow this entire game. I just had that in the back of my mind.
Bad idea. Jason will spot me.
You know where Joker kept me?
Joker got to you. I know what it's like.
Don't pretend to understand! You'll die in there, in pain. I learned how to take a little pain, Batman. I learned from the best. But you can't hurt what you can't see. Optic deflection armor. Your sensors won't work. And you remember how?
Make 'em hurt, Batman.
Alright, now where was I? Oh yeah. I had a gripe, and it was specifically that Red Hood was constantly taking orders from Scarecrow, basically the entire game. Wait, did I say Red Hood or Arkham Knight? Jason Todd. Jason Todd was taking orders from Scarecrow the entire time. And it just didn't really feel in line with his character to be taking orders from a supervillain after being murdered by a supervillain. But there were cases where he had done similar things in the comics just to kind of get into an advantageous situation. And that's kind of what I was expecting here. I was constantly expecting a turn where he killed Scarecrow as kind of a way of proving you can't just keep letting villains live. I figured he would want to make a point that if you keep letting them live, people are just going to keep getting hurt by crap like the Cloudburst. And I kind of figured there'd be a scene with him and Scarecrow that turned out really similar to his ultimatum about the Joker in the Under the Red Hood comic. It is basically a scene in the comic where Red Hood then pushes Batman to either choose between killing the Joker or killing him, a no-win situation that would cause him to have to break his rule, and seeing the fallacy in, his whole no-killing policy. But of course, as Batman, he finds a way around that. Anyway, it's a really amazing scene, and it's really emotional given that Jason still looks up to Batman in a way, and is pushing him to this point. And despite everything they've gone through, he's more hurt about how replaceable he was, and how Batman would basically let someone who killed his son live. But let's remember that that was Under the Red Hood, and this is Batman Arkham Knight. Something different was going to happen, although I thought something kind of similar was going to happen. Keeping in mind what I just described, the big tense scene with Red Hood, Batman, and Joker, I really thought that we were going to get something similar with Arkham Knight, Scarecrow, Batman. And it was going to be another really tense emotional situation. But that big scene just never comes.
Stand down, Robin.
Don't call me that! It's not who I am! There's no escape. Not this time. I'm not afraid of you, Bruce. You're not a legend to me.
I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. I guess it's just important to point out that Jason Todd's goal isn't really to be the villain that bested Batman, at least not in the comics. His goal in those early days, at least as I remember it, he was introduced and he wanted to prove Batman's way did not work, and his did. And he wanted to prove that killing the villains was the answer and that he was the true hero by killing them. I don't feel like a lot of that comes across in this game's story, so I feel like we lose out on a bit of the character's motivations, besides just wanting to kill Batman.
It won't be quick, Batman. You will suffer. Get high. Not from me.
And we have death number 4. I am dying a lot all of a sudden.
This makes us even, Bruce.
Well, everybody, Jason gets his revenge. Congratulations, Jason. It was a long time coming. But, unfortunately for you, that is not the canonical ending. So let's do that crap over again. Well, alright, before my untimely demise, we were talking about the motivations of Jason Todd and how they differ in this game and in the comics. And how in this game it seems like he's missing some pretty important character motivation that was originally established in the comics. I'd say even if the character motivation is a bit off or missing just because he isn't trying to kill the supervillains as much, I did not hate this interpretation of Jason Todd. It's not my favorite, but it's far from the worst.
Jason will see me coming. I need to get directly under his vantage point to take him down. You're Robin, Jason. You're not what he made you.
Stop! Stop talking to me! You did this to me.
I'm sorry.
You left me to rot in that abandoned wing of Arkham for over a year! With him.
It's not too late. We can fix this. Together. Alfred, I found Jason.
Excuse me, sir. I must have misheard you. For a moment, I thought you said that you'd found Master Todd.
You heard right.
My God, is he all right?
No. No, he's not.
Oh, guess that's the end of the Arkham Knight. He chose the name himself, you know. Bless him. Where better to drive a man crazy than in the madhouse?
We need to get up to the roof. Scarecrow's there.
What happened?
I went after Crane and got caught.
Jim, I'm sorry about Barbara.
Don't. Let's just get this over with.
I should have stopped him. Jim, look out!
Well, that's it for Jason Todd for now. Following that fight, I have to say I do like the costume transition that occurred when the stealth battle began. We got to see the Arkham Knight mock cowl get damaged and removed. In its place, Jason's helmet and body armor took a red shade instead. That was much closer to the comic book character that Jason would become, Red Hood. There really isn't a good reason for the red wardrobe adjustment in this game, but it looks pretty cool, and it's a nice nod to the Jason Todd character that people are most likely more familiar with. Anyway, earlier, I mentioned that the Arkham Knight Jason Todd was not my favorite iteration of the character, but it is far from the worst. Allow me to elaborate on that. I personally think that the worst version, for me, and this is just my personal opinion, is the Titans live-action show that was on HBO, I think. In that show, it's specifically just a much worse version of the Arkham Knight's Jason Todd, to be honest.
You okay, Jim?
I've been worse.
Instead of using the Scarecrow as a means to an end, the show has Jason 100% dependent on Scarecrow because he is afraid and doesn't know how to deal with it. And it's just dumb, and the character can barely be called Red Hood, and I don't like it.
Jim, I just want to say, working with Barbara, it was an honor.
Don't.
Even if you'd known what she was doing, you couldn't have stopped her.
Stubborn like her old man.
Brave.
You know, you see a lot in this job, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. But I'll never forget taking a witness statement from an 8-year-old boy who'd just seen his parents gunned down.
You were kind, Jim.
I was thinking, I may never get a chance to tell you this, to say sorry.
You don't need to.
We're the same, Bruce. We'd do anything for our family. Come on.
On your knees, Crane. Now.
So you did it. I must admit I had my doubts that you could make this happen.
I'm not asking again.
And I'm not talking to you. It is time.
Time for what?
Jim. I'm sorry. It was the only way. Get me my daughter.
Dad!
Barbara. Are you all right? Did he hurt you?
What are you doing?
Call in the transport. We're leaving.
Yes, sir.
It is time for the people of Gotham to see their savior for who he truly is. A man, just a man, devoid of hope, betrayed by his friends, crippled by fear.
Let her go!
You both still have a part to play.
We had a deal.
Once I understood your greatest fear, controlling you was simple. You blame yourself for her condition. You need to protect her, but buried deep down is the inevitability that you will one day fail. And that fear makes you mine. Think very carefully about your next move, Commissioner. Her life depends on it.
Dad! No!
Did you think I wanted him dead? Did you think that would save your daughter? Do you know what happens when a man refuses to be controlled by his fears? He must face them.
No! Take me! Please, it's not her you want. Take me!
You don't scare me.
Shh. It's okay to be afraid.
Are you hurt?
I thought Dad killed you.
He knew what he was doing.
Where? Where are they taking you? Where's the Batmobile?
Destroyed.
What?
Don't worry. Lucius made a spare.
Sir, the car has a
Anyway, yeah. Titans 100% ripped off this game's version of Jason Todd down to the Scarecrow team up, which I don't think had ever been done before, but it did it worse. Honestly, seeing that show made me appreciate this game's reimagining a lot more. Even if I think it could have been done better, the writers went out on a limb to give a familiar story to players in a brand new way. That's kind of hard to do, and I don't think they did a terrible job. I really don't. Enough about all of that, though. We've already had time to process the Jason Todd reveal, and we have not yet addressed the newest reveal, which is Barbara Gordon. She's alive. I feel like that probably also could have been done better, but hey, it's a twist, and I don't hate that she's still around by any means. So it's a welcome thing. I'll save all my thoughts about that twist for the end of the game whenever the credits roll. I feel like that's the point when I'm going to give a whole lot of opinions on this. And I don't mean just Barbara, I mean the game as a whole. Anyway, so Barbara Gordon is alive. Fear toxin was the cause of us seeing her die, and it not being real, and now we find out that she was being used to manipulate Jim Gordon. Oh well. We saved her.
Scarecrow's going to kill him, isn't he?
Not while he can use him to get to me.
Oh, how chivalrous. Remember the time you carried me like that? I don't, because I was dead.
I'll get you set up at the precinct. We'll find your father. Barbara, Scarecrow manipulated me. I watched you die.
He gassed you, Bruce. You don't need to worry about us or feel responsible. We're fighting with you, not for you, okay?
It's good to have you back. Cash, I found Barbara. I'm bringing her to the lockup.
She's alive. Thank God. What about Gordon?
He was captured by Scarecrow.
You've got to be kidding me.
We'll get him back, Cash.
And we are nearly an hour into the video, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a little outro here and just remind everybody what's happening in this episode and kind of allude to what's going to happen next. Honestly, there's not too much to recap here. The episode began with us figuring out that Jim Gordon had tracked down Scarecrow to some hideout underneath a mall. We then got to the mall and infiltrated and went through a huge labyrinth, little puzzles and getting chewed up by industrial fans and crap, until we reached the tunnels underneath the mall, where we were then chased down by the Arkham Knight and a new, what would you even call that? I don't know. We were chased by the Arkham Knight in a vehicle that could tunnel underground. And we then used old explosives to damage it enough to get away, only it was kind of halfway getting away since we ended up having to sacrifice our Batmobile in the process. He destroys the Batmobile, and we scurry along to find Jim. And we eventually do exactly that, but when we try to save him, the Arkham Knight catches up to us again and decides to unmask himself for the big reveal that the Arkham Knight was Jason Todd the entire time. I've spoke about that quite a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and gloss over that. We got to the end of the fights where, in a sentimental moment, Batman cannot apprehend Jason. He only wants to help him. Using this hesitation, Jason gets away, and we have no idea what to expect from him next. With no adversaries left, we went back and we rescued Jim Gordon. And then we went all the way up to the top of this building, the one behind Batman and Barbara, and there we found out that Scarecrow was manipulating Jim. Don't know how long that's been going on, but whatever. Jim shoots us, buys us a little bit of time as a distraction, we end up saving Barbara, and then there was another tank battle. So where does that leave us? Well, we made our getaway, and we will be picking up the very next episode, dropping off Barbara Gordon at the GCPD. Then there's not too much left for us to do. The only thing we really have to account for is the fact that Scarecrow is still out there, and he has Jim Gordon. And that's exactly how we're going to pick up the next episode. There's still a little bit left to do, but I'm willing to make the bold claim that next episode is going to be the last episode. Minus maybe a bonus one to see the secret ending for whenever you 100% the game. But yeah, for the City of Fear, I think next episode's going to be the last one. And until then, take care, and I hope you are enjoying the series.